switching gears, there's a big smartphone fight going on between a couple of giants in California. And here to talk about it is the Wall Street Journal Bureau Chief, Drew Dowell. Drew, how you doing?
How's it going?
All right. So what we're talking about is Apple and Samsung going to court in the U.S. They've been fighting patent battles around the world. To sum up, it's a very complicated story, but to sum up very quickly, Apple accuses Samsung of slavishly copying some of its designs, like finger swiping and pinching and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Samsung has said that Apple has copied some of its designs, such as how phones communicate and stuff like that. Based on how this fight's been going on around the world, any sense as to which side may have the stronger argument?
I mean, that's hard to tell. And just to back up a bit, like the kind of argument that we were making in the paper today was that it's Apple v. Samsung, but really it's sort of Apple versus Google, because Samsung makes the phones, but it's Google's operating system that's behind it, and it's the kind of supremacy of the operating system that's at issue. How many consumers get into one particular system, start buying apps and music and other sorts of, tools that are related to that system, and then get stuck in it and don't buy any other type of phone for the rest of their lives. So that's sort of what's at issue, is like how to retain customers forever.
And I think we have a graphic that shows the operating systems for smartphones, and how it really is. It's a two-headed race between Android and the Apple operating system, the iOS.
Yeah, and there's the Android's way ahead. They've got more than half. Apple's somewhere between a quarter and a third. And there's this feeling that there could be a third operating system out there, but no one's really proven it yet. So for now, it's these two.
Windows would like to think that it can become that third system.
And RIM, of course, is hoping that somehow they get to stay the third system, but it's falling aside exactly quickly. So anyway, so you're asking whether or not whose seems to have the better argument. The issue now is it's going to go to a jury, so it's it's a whole different question than when it's before a judge. And judges have come up with all sorts of mixed rulings on these debates. So
that's what makes this interesting. Is that you've got a 10-person jury who's going to be hearing these arguments.
Completely. So it's a big risk for both companies. I mean, if Apple goes in front of a jury, sort of in its hometown more or less, and the jury does not conclude that Samsung ripped off its designs, it's going to be a lot harder to prove that. There's not necessarily a binding precedent on, say, a court overseas or on the International Trade Commission, but it may make it harder to prove that, to make that argument down the road. And same thing for Samsung. If they try and argue that Apple owes them or violated its patents, and there's some sort of award that's not all that doesn't impose heavy burdens on Apple, then settlement talks down the road could get a lot easier for Apple.
Exactly.
So it's a tough spot for both of them.
And this is being fought in the court of public opinion too. But this is not going to be the last such battle between these two companies.
No, I mean they're suing each other around the world, and it comes at a time when these are the two leading smartphone manufacturers in the world, probably the two most important phone manufacturers in the world. Samsung had a blowout second quarter; they shipped twice as many phones as Apple did. But of course, Apple's got, we all think anyway, a new iPhone coming out sometime in the fall. So the people might be holding off.
It might be September. So, but phones have been very profitable for both companies, and so they're going to spend a lot of time and energy defending their turf. Drew, thanks a lot for coming on.
Definitely.
Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.